You have got to be kidding me.
I'm Ethan Brackner, and I'm the owner here at Card Addicts.
I'm Ken Oswald. I am the proprietor of Excelsior here in Hoover, Alabama.
I'm Jonathan Charles Barrick. I work for Excelsior.
My name is William, and my Dungeons & Dragons character's name is William.
I started playing Pokemon when I was a kid. It's the being able to play with friends and do something that's not just a video game, which I also love. But you know, card games have a certain collectability. You can trade them, you can interact with your friends much more than you can with a video game. There's just something about them that's different. It's magical, I guess.
So I have always loved board games. I remember playing as a kid. I think we all started out with like Monopoly or some like Parker Brothers game, like Sorry, you know, all that stuff. I mean, I think I grew up like watching Yu-Gi-Oh! That was fun.
I mean, I was a kid, practically no one in my hometown was really a gaming enthusiast, or at least no one that I knew of. So I had to make up my own. I wound up writing my first game, I think when I was in second grade, and it just kind of exploded from there.
Card games I've been playing since I was like, 5. I guess my parents decided instead of buying video game stuff, Pokemon cards was easier. Pokemon cards was like $4 a pack or so. When I was 16, a couple of my friends bought me a Magic starter deck or whatever. I was like, okay, I guess I'll get into this. I don't think I'll get too into it. Now 6 years from now, I'm still playing it. I make on average about $150 to $200 a week playing Magic.
The previous owners were looking to move on to bigger and better things in their life. They were wanting to make sure it went to a good home, and I was a regular here already for the last few years, and I thought, it seemed like something I could do. I've always wanted to own my own business, and this is definitely one of my passions. So we sat down and had a lengthy discussion with them, and my wife and I did, and here we are today.
It allows me to engage in my hobbies that I've loved all my life, and to interact and talk with other people that like that as well.
There's 2 stores that I play at. I play at Excelsior and Card Addicts. I like them for different reasons. Card Addicts, people are great, the card selection is great and stuff like that. Excelsior I usually play on Mondays. I usually play modern stuff. The people there are great, it's very friendly, very nice time. They have 2 rooms now. Basically, they have a room that's just comic books and card games, and they have another room that's just tabletop stuff. You can rent out a room for like maybe I think it was $5 an hour or something like that. Or you can buy like a package where you can go there anytime for $35 a month, and you could basically just live there. I've talked to the owner. I think I'm just gonna live there. It's $30 a month. That's including utilities. I could live there. I haven't looked at the contract, but I'm pretty sure I could live there. I think the contract says you can't bring your household items in there, but I have to look at it first. I'll talk to Kenny.
When I was a kid playing D&D, I lived through watching news broadcasts on how to tell if your kid was playing Dungeons & Dragons, because that was not socially acceptable.
Dungeons & Dragons has been called the most effective introduction to the occult in the history of man.
Dungeons & Dragons and gaming in general is kind of going through this renaissance where it's popular, it's mainstream. The joke used to be when I was younger, if you played D&D, you played with a group of teenage guys and, you know, in your basement and hid away from everyone. And nowadays, it's very public and girls play. So it's kind of shocking to me to watch that transformation, to see it popularized so much in media and people enjoying it, like normal people enjoying it.
I don't think enough people notice this unless you were previously a nerd, for real. Because now it's geek chic. It's cool to be a nerd. I think with the rise of, you got shows like Big Bang Theory, I think, and then like Stranger Things, glamorizing D&D, and some of these other, you know, Weird Al, white and nerdy. I don't know. I hate to say, you know, I feel like a hipster nerd here, but I feel like I'm a hipster nerd.
Magic the Gathering's probably the most popular, of course. It was the first collectible card game ever. At its heart, it's a 2-player game where people customize their own decks from booster packs, kind of like baseball cards.
It's usually one-on-one. You guys start a different life, and basically you play different spells, creatures, and stuff like that to knock out your opponent. Most of the tournaments or whatever usually pay like $5, and Depending on how many people there are, they'll have different amount of rounds. Most of the tournaments have between 3 to 5 rounds, and if you place in a certain percentage, you get either cash or credit in store, depending on how big the tournament is. I want to say the most I've ever won is 300 or something like that. So it's just being good.
Dungeons and Dragons, it's a role-playing game, and at its heart, a role-playing game is a shared story between people sitting at a table. You have one person that kind of manages the story, which is your dungeon master or your game referee, if you will, and then you've got the players that all take on a first-person role, if you will, a persona of a character inside of that story.
My D&D character was Golgar, the Orc Barbarian.
My current D&D character's name is Constantine Thatcher. I am a war cleric.
The players pretty much will get to decide what that character does in response to situations that the dungeon master creates.
Think of Lord of the Rings. You could play Lord of the Rings. That's what this game is.
I was playing a dwarf fighter named Ragnar. I just remember one of the more memorable moments I had was we were just in a forest. We found these guys, they were skinning animals. They had like all the animal skins on a boat. We fought them, and then my dwarf, just being the smart guy he was, says, "We're gonna return these skins back to the animals in the forest." And he picks up all the skins and leaves them in the forest like, I did a good thing today. I returned the skins back to the forest.
There was one moment, if I remember correctly, we went into the room. One of the other party members was jeering me on. As a half-orc barb, I played fairly unintelligent intentionally. He was encouraging me to prod a statue to try to incite a reaction. And I did, but since I was in the room and I was the one that caused the damage, but he heard the other guy jeering him on, the statue turned around and targeted him and blasted him. I wound up okay doing the damage, but the guy who encouraged me to do the damage wound up pretty badly hurt.
A lot of the memories of you playing D&D, it's you doing it. It's like you're the character. You see the moment. The DM is like describing to you, the dungeon master describing to you. Because another one of my favorite memories was we were fighting like they were fire cultists. That's it. Me and my buddies, we were all like in this inn. We just stayed the night, and then we hear some yelling and we wake up. I think we're on the second floor. Like my guy's like he's still a dwarf fighter barbarian. He jumps out of the second story window, lands. Thankfully, I rolled really well on my acrobatics check, so I didn't hurt myself. So I land, and then we just start fighting these fire cultists. And the way it's described, the way I remember it, it's like I'm doing it, and that's sweet. You know, I have this memory of jumping out of this window and, with my sword, Matilda, he named his sword Matilda, and we, just bashing them, and it was sweet.
If it's something anybody thinks they're interested in, I just recommend them come see us here at Card Addicts or whatever your local game store would be, whatever's convenient, and just tell them, say, hey, I'd love to learn Magic or Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh, and most shops will have someone there that can teach you or have extra decks they can teach you with, and it's a great thing to do. Get out of the house and play a card game and have some fun. I'd recommend it to anybody.
Get out and do some gaming.